being around the young people as much as you are, I'm stereotype. I don't mind. There's probably someone my age is there. Good for them. What's one of the feelings that you know that they've confessed in you that they're having a hard time with, and then it just seems because I think generationally things have changed, and certain problems are more epidemic to a generation than others. And now with this pandemic bomb that's kind of thrown everything out of whack, a lot of folks and young people are kind of isolated. And it's like, what's some of the emotions do you think that they're really struggling with that maybe my generation or others don't aren't aware of?
They suffer terrible anxiety,
Hmm.
terrible social anxiety. For instance, I had a girl in class. She was sitting by the window. She got up. I allow them to go in and out of the room to use the restroom. I'm not going to make them raise their hand. This is college. And she was gone the rest of the class, and I was a little worried. And when I peeked in the hall looking for her, there she was. And she says, "Oh, I didn't want to come back into the room and interrupt you. And I didn't want everybody looking at me. So I just listened to the rest of the lecture from the hall." I said, "Okay, well, what we're going to do tomorrow is I'm going to reserve with my purse. I'm going to put my purse on the seat that's right by the door. And that's where you're going to sit. So you never have to worry about walking across the room." And she said, "Oh, I never even thought of that."
Hmm.
That's just one example, but anxiety.
That's a great example. That is a great example because who wants to do that, right? When we go to the movie theaters, my wife, she likes to sit in the back. She doesn't want people kicking her seat. She also doesn't want uh, us to be a burden to someone else. And I, as a 50-plus-year-old male, needs to go to the bathroom pretty much in every movie. I see a lot of movies, so me sitting in the middle of the auditorium and having to climb over other humans is rude and obnoxious. So we have special seats that we usually sit in. It took a minute to click because as the nerd, I have my special, Sheldon Cooper. I want to be in this great spot. This is the best spot to sit in the movie. And like I'm climbing over people, climbing over people, climbing over. It's like she's like, okay, enough of this nonsense. And by the way, those people were kicking my seat. And I said, okay, I see. We have to make some changes. So it's normal to evaluate those things. And this poor girl like bottled all that up. It's really fascinating that I don't know, maybe it's just they're not told what you told them. Maybe they're not just like told, "Hey, listen, it's okay to come up with a solution." Because she said, "I never thought of that." That's fascinating.
Yeah, they are struggling. They did not do well with that homeschool, doing the Zoom classes.
Mm.
My colleagues, I guess because they were doing it on Zoom, felt the need to load them up with more work than usual to make up for
Oh,
not being in the classroom. And these kids are collapsing under the burden of too much work.
hmm.
And my colleagues don't seem to understand. They don't need college. College is falling apart. What they're going back to trade schools.
Well, praise God, because Lord knows that's where we need many of them. I first of all, I have 5 children and went into it of you have to have a plan. I don't really care what that plan is. We're as parents at some point we transition from just being literally your physical caregiver to your coach and your mentors and whatever to help you develop that plan. I've got some that were never going to be on a college track. I have one that was going to be on an art track. He was, and we definitely bumped heads over some of that. It's like, what does life look like on the other side of that? I have one that the only way she was going to achieve her goal was to go to college. But even within the same home, same parents, the whole nine, none of them are similar in that plan development, what their interest would be. It's fascinating that we still try to do a lot of round pegs and square holes or vice versa. And do you see students that start and then go, what's this trade thing that people are talking about? Or is it just they don't get it? I don't know. How do you view that landscape changing? 'Cause that's actually music to my ears.
They're they'll be halfway through their degree
Mm.
and they'll be like, if I knew it was going to be like this, I would have just gotten certified as a, fill in the blank, rather than why am I studying math and poetry? exactly. If I want to become a civil servant, be on the police force or become a nurse, and I would like to know that too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's just, it looks suspiciously like we're just trying to justify our jobs teaching these subjects that aren't necessary for them to be successful out in the world as whatever they are. Lucky me, I get to teach comparative religion. That will matter because when you're dealing with people, you have to understand different cultures. You have to understand why a woman is veiled and doesn't want to be in a room with a door shut with a male doctor or whatever. So at least I feel like, well, especially for spiritual reasons, but they certainly don't need that to become a lawyer or whatever it is they want to be. But as a diversity class, I feel justified. Like, I'm giving them something that'll help them navigate the world. But the ones who are, say, because I also teach at a community college, it's only a 2-year degree. It's an associates. Fewer are going on to the 4-year unless it's necessary for the career that they've chosen. And a lot of, careers will ask for the bachelor's. You have to have the bachelor's. But if they don't need that, well, I'd be associates.
Well, I don't know what it's like in New Jersey, and I will get back to the book, I promise. I don't know what it's like there, and again, moved the family to rural Central Florida, but this problem was an epidemic in the city. There are not enough electricians and plumbers, and Lord help me if I can find a large animal vet. If any of them like Dr. Pole that much, tell them it is a cash cow and a liberty providing job. You will call your shots of when you go and what you do, because there is not enough supply to meet the demand, especially for like us, like with goats and donkeys, like not like expensive equestrian vets. Of course, they'll be more than happy to do those kind of jobs. But to do like what we're doing and where we are, it's like, it's impossible. Can't find anybody. It's insane. And now they're trying to make it more difficult to do that. So it is music to my ears to know that there is hope that the generation sees that supply and demand equation change, because it changed midstream for me. I went to school to be a doctor, and it was quickly like, now there's a surplus of people trying to get in. I was having, well, I'm going to put my foot in my mouth. We also were dealing with the first time affirmative action changes. It changed midstream for our generation, and you're not that much different in my age, I think. So we lived through, it wasn't a thing and now it is a thing, and we kind of got caught up in it. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? Because the rules were this, and now you say the rules are that. So yeah. So when you change, it's difficult. The world changes too. You can't always keep up. And these poor kids, post-pandemic, it's a different world. I'm not sure there is a 2019 world coming back. So a lot of them started out a plan that they could be 2 to 3 years in, and now go, oh man, this is worse than I even thought, right?
They're also working 2 jobs.
Wow.
Now, back, I graduated with with my bachelor's in '99. So there were still some students who could go to school full time, and that's what they did full time. And maybe they had a little library job or something. Things have changed in 20 years. Now they go to school part time because they work full time. They are supporting a household or contributing to the household. And, the other professors need to understand this. These are not full-time students the way we were back in the day. They don't have that time. You need to find a way to teach that's more lighthearted and light on the work, but still gives a quality lesson, quality class, quality education, because they're shrugging their shoulders. They're like, do I really need this?
Yeah, because some of the work just becomes busy work at that point. So we'll go back to the book, obviously. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to derail our conversation so much, but it is fascinating to tap into these sort of overlapping struggles and emotions and challenges that we all face. Like, I know we ended up on the diet and the health and your surgery and whatever, but the anxiety is a universal thing that all humans are going to go through.